The South African government has welcomed a court ruling coming out of Malawi, allowing the pastor, Shepherd Bushiri, and his wife, Mary, to be extradited to South Africa. The pair face multiple criminal charges in two local courts. They fled the country while out on bail. The self-proclaimed prophet at the time raised fears for his life and was worried about receiving a fair trial. South Africa submitted an extradition request to Malawi seeking their return to stand trial on various charges, including rape, violating bail conditions, as well as financial crimes. The Justice Department says it has been informed that the pair intends to appeal this latest ruling.
So let's hope that Papa and Mama Bushiri, they're not going to flee from Malawi to another country. They're not going to go deeper, Papa, go deeper on on Malawian and South African justice system, you know. And you can only think about that because remember in 2020 the couple appeared before two different courts in South Africa, and it was on multiple criminal charges. Allegedly they were granted bail pending trial, but they failed to comply with their bail condition and they fled the country under unknown circumstances. We don't know how did they get out of the country, you know, how were they shipped out of the country or flown out of the country, but they were later found in Malawi. So you cannot help but to think that they can do that again. And I hear and I see people are saying that is the waste of time, that is the waste of taxpayers' money. But I would think for the other charges of two ladies, 17 and 21, who Pastor Bushiri is allegedly reported to have taken advantage of them without permission. I think they need justice as well. They need to move on and, you know, to close the chapter in their lives. So if he doesn't have anything to hide, he would come and face the music and clear his name and the wife's name, okay? Another thing is they are out on bail and they are intending to appeal the ruling. So there is no reason why they cannot go deeper, Papa. Remember, I mean, they left here when they disappeared. They paid 200,000 each for their bail. Okay, so they are moneyed. They can pay another money and just disappear. But let's take a listen to Mpumelelo Zikalala explaining in details.
When you make an extradition application such as this one, you are basically presenting your case as if you are presenting it in South Africa. So you have to make sure that all the prosecutors that are going to go there up to scratch, the evidence in which you are going to apply is up to scratch. You give assurance that when a person comes to South Africa, they'll be afforded their rights, which may be applicable to what they have in Malawi. So with this application going through, I can certainly sort of come to a conclusion that South Africa really did a good job in making this application, hence the application being granted.
So with the Bushiri's intention to appeal the ruling, I mean, what is at stake there?
Well, it's still within their rights. Remember that in any constitutional country that is there, whenever you have a ruling which is against you, which is adverse against you, you have those appeal procedures which are applicable to you. So the same would apply as if the application was granted in the High Court in South Africa. You still have to go to the SCA equivalent in Malawi and also to go to the Constitutional Court equivalent also in Malawi. But at the end of the day, the mere fact that the application was not dismissed at the Court of First Instance simply means that there's something in which the Bushiris need to answer to. The Malawian government and Malawian courts can see that there's a case in which they need to come back and answer to, hence the application being granted.
And as one has to break down and have a look at the charges, I mean, we're talking here violating bail conditions, rape. While awaiting trial, this couple were granted bail and then they fled under mysterious circumstances. What approach will the court take?
But the very first task that is done by any court when they have an extradition application is faced by it is to say, is this a crime in our country? If this is a crime also in our country, then the chances of saying go back to the particular country in which the crime was allegedly created or committed in to can answer to your charges, you will be the first instance. Any other charges which are going to follow after that, for example, violating bail conditions, evading trial, then they need to come back and explain how did you move from South Africa and into other borders, who assisted you. Let those people come to the fore so that you can be able to prosecute them. But remember, you left this country after being told and being given or being trusted by our court system to say you will come back on this particular day. Hence, they said you're a perfect candidate for you to be granted bail. So if you violate those things, then you must come back and answer to those allegations. But the most important one, which I think the court would have concentrated on, is the one of saying there are rape allegations against you. Committing rape is also an offense when it comes to the Malawian country. Go back to South Africa to answer to your crimes. And then they've given us assurance that you will be afforded the levels of justice which are applicable to anyone and that we are using in this country anyways. So go back there and be able to defend
Could it
yourself.
be the reason we are seeing the article of Sunday World where we are told that Kininda is being targeted? Could that be the reason? Where we are told that Fanny Masemola has issued a warning stating that anyone who targets Kininda and other senior official by posting their personal information online will face the wrath of the law. And could it be the reason why Hawks are investigating this case and have gone as far as Free State and Western Cape in pursuit of the suspect? Very interesting. Yeah, and then it's that Sunday World paper, I remember it says the last people who got into the police system and retrieved Kininda's personal information has already been identified. So could that be the reason why there is this chaos now in the police? Because you heard when he started, he said, the enemy is not really outside, the enemy is inside. Okay, let's wait and see what's gonna happen. Family, until the next one, remember to subscribe, like, and share the video. Bye.
Good morning and thanks for having me. Firstly, I must say the ruling, the court did emphasize that this was not a trial. This was rather an inquiry. They wanted to authenticate and make sure that the way the extradition request was made to the government of Malawi, the laws were followed. Again, the offenses that are included or that were included on the list do tally with the offenses that are in the Extradition Act in Malawi, in the schedule. So these are some of the areas that the court was looking at. And when the judge who was sitting as a chief resident magistrate was pronouncing this ruling, she did indicate that some of the offenses that were included did not qualify or test or pass through the sufficiency test. And these are offenses such as theft, that of racketeering, money laundering, and others. But the Bushiris, especially for Shepherd, the prophet himself, they are saying he has to go back to South Africa to answer 3 charges of rape, the other one of forgery, fraud, and the contravening the bail conditions. For his wife, there are those offenses of fraud, that of jumping bail or contravening the bail conditions, as well as forgery. So it's a ruling that I think in Malawi it's looked at as a landmark ruling because this is a high-profile case. Bushiri is a leader of a church and he has a big following in Malawi and outside. So people were looking forward to this determination. But what this means now, since after the pronouncement of the ruling, the defense did indicate that they would want to appeal to the High Court. So in the meantime, the extradition order has been stayed or it has been paused for 30 days. The defense will be going to the High Court. They've been given 30 days to facilitate bail for the couple. And after that, I think the two sides will continue battling it out at the High Court.
Yeah, and just